Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Verel and welcome to the XR Weekly Roundup this week. So on the agenda that we have today, we're going to start by taking a look at some climate news. Then we're going to go through some of the actions that happened during the week. And we're also going to have a chat with Dr. Larch Maxey, who's going to be joining us to speak about his experience of being in the Euston Tunnel. Then we're also going to have a look through at some future events that are coming up. And within that, we're going to have an interview with Dag from XR Norway and also go through some details of the upcoming Rebellion of One. So starting off with some climate news. Firstly, let's have a look at the stark warning that Sir David Attenborough issued to world leaders at the UN Security Council session on climate. This is where discussions take place on the role of the Security Council, member states, and also the UN in addressing future threats to international peace and security posed by climate change. So let's have a look at that video clip of that now.
We have left the stable and secure climatic period that gave birth to our civilizations. There is no going back. No matter what we do now, it's too late to avoid climate change. And the poorest and most vulnerable, those with the least security, are now certain to suffer. Our duty right now is surely to do all we can to help those in the most immediate danger. People today all over the world now realize this is no longer an issue which will affect future generations. It is people alive today, and in particular young people, who will live with the consequences of our actions. We are a single, truly global species, whose greatest threats are shared and whose security must ultimately come from acting together in the interests of us all.
Okay, so further to that, also at the UN Security Council session, the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson told the world leaders that climate change is a grave threat to global peace and security. So here is a clip of that now.
What we've got to do is go from 51 billion tons of greenhouse gas emissions each year to net zero. So the increase in global temperatures remains at manageable levels. And as we do so, we must support the more vulnerable and the fragile nations that are feeling the effects of climate change. If we don't act now, when will we act? That's my question. When are we going to do something if we don't act now? When changing sea levels are affecting our navigation around our coasts, or when, as Nisreen said, when huddled masses fleeing drought or wildfire or conflict over resources arrive at our borders. Whether you like it or not, it is a matter of when, not if, your country and your people will have to deal with the security impacts of climate change.
Now, this might come at a surprise where the Prime Minister of the fifth largest economy in the world is saying that we might have wars because of climate change. And on the other hand, we have Sir David Attenborough giving us that stark warning that it might be too late. We can see that the government seems to be finally admitting that we will face severe consequences due to the climate crisis, something that most politicians would have denied a few years ago. But yet, the UK government continues to subsidize fossil fuels, bail out high polluting carbon industries, invest in coal mines, and also goes ahead with carbon intensive projects like road building and also HS2. So the next item on our list is this week, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change released a report pointing out that nations are not on track to meet the agreements of the Paris Agreement that would limit the temperature rise by 2 degrees, ideally 1.5 degrees by the end of the century. This is a clear sign it is time to admit that world leaders are failing to ensure a safe planet. So XR had written a press release, and I'm just going to read out a few words from that press release about this UN FCCC report. And this is how it goes. In a week, when we have heard from Sir David Attenborough and Boris Johnson about the security risks of the climate crisis and the heightened possibility of war, there is no longer any argument that we urgently need change on an unprecedented scale. Yet the best world leaders have come up with meager pledges that get us nowhere near where we need to be. And also towards the end, it says, if our world leaders are not capable of thinking big enough for the scale of this crisis, then it's time to listen to the people across the world, brought together through a global citizens' assembly to find a fair and just way forward. Okay, so moving on to the next bit from the climate news, we're going to end with some positive news. And almost a year ago, XR activists dug up a lawn outside Trinity College, Cambridge, with one activist even chaining himself to a tree in protest against the college's collusion in the destruction of nature. The action actually gained widespread criticism in the media. It even got global media attention. But this week, Trinity College, Cambridge has pledged to sell all of the publicly traded fossil fuel companies owned by its 1.5 billion endowment before the end of December, following a 4-year campaign by students concerned about climate change. Now, this just shows us that even if nonviolent direct action gains widespread criticism, it still works in raising awareness on what is necessary. And this is just a sign for us to keep going and stay strong. So moving on to the next section, which is actions that have happened during this week. On Monday, we had a banner drop action where hundreds of people from across the UK dropped banners in solidarity with the Stop HS2 campaign. Let's have a look at that video now. Yeah, that was a really nice video and loads of banners to have a look at. We had so many pictures coming through on our chat of banners across the UK that day. So also something else that happened on that Monday was Larch coming out of the tunnel after 29 days of being inside the tunnels at under Euston Square Gardens, protesting against the High Speed 2 project. So let's have a look at that video of Larch coming out of the tunnel now.
We're in the tunnel in Euston Square Gardens. It's 1 day short of 4 weeks, and I have been evicted. I have, basically met my match. They've come for me and they've rinsed me completely. They got all my stuff. They got me backed into a corner, and at that point I was like, okay, I'm coming out.
Oh, here he is. We love you, Larch! We love you, Larch! Here he is! Woo! Oh, so proud. Feel so emotional. We're at Euston Square. Oh, go on, Larch. We love you! Excuse me shouting. But yeah, well done to him.
Okay, yeah, that was really a profound moment when Larch came out of the tunnel, and since then, 4 other activists were remaining, but they have all been out of the tunnel as well. The last one coming out this Friday. I'm just going to check with Vlad. Are we able to get in touch with Larch? If not, we can move on to the next section. Okay. So an action that happened during the week as well was when Larch shaved off his hair outside the HSE, and the action's message was no more close shaves. So let's have a look at that video now. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're having some trouble connecting with Larch at the moment, but we might get back to him in a bit. So let's move on to the next section about something else that I just want to bring to your attention that's happening in the next few days. So in light of the urban deforestation and ecocide that's happening all across this country, I just want to bring some attention to what's happening in Wandsworth in central London, where 124 trees are being chopped down for a new development. There is currently a big battle to save one of the trees at the moment. The tree has been numbered as 68, and it's a very rare tree, the black poplar tree. And we've got an activist who has been up there for quite a long time now, and I think he's been there for about 7 to 9 days, and we're asking people to come and support them in the effort that if this occupation carries on, then the project or the felling of these trees might have to be postponed for the next few months, since bird nesting season is going to be starting very soon. So the developers are Taylor Wimpey over here, and they are in conjunction with Wandsworth Council. We're calling out to people to put more pressure on the developer and also Wandsworth Council to stop this ecocide from happening. Okay, so moving to the actions, the next section, which is actions in the future. As we have heard, the UK is no stranger to hypocrisy when it comes to climate action, and it's not alone in that. Taking a closer look, we're learning about XR actions elsewhere in the world now. On Wednesday, protesters will be asking for urgent action against environmental hypocrisy in Norway, and demonstrations outside the Norwegian embassies all around the world, including Seoul, Rome, Ottawa, Rio, Stockholm, and Copenhagen. Many countries produce enormous amounts of fossil fuels despite committing to combat climate change. The UK, Canada, Norway are few of these that stand out, though, because they are doing that while positioning themselves as climate champions. Talking to us from Extinction Rebellion Norway is Dag. Dag, thank you for joining us. For the first question, could you tell us what it's like in XR Norway at the moment, and have you been able to get much done alongside the pandemic?
Yeah, we did manage to do the Autumn Rebellion, which was during the pandemic, and during that rebellion, which was in September 2020, 53 people got arrested and got fines of of over 1 million kroners, which is 100,000 euros. And that was probably the single biggest one-day mass arrest in 40 years in Norway. And the reason why Norway has not seen mass arrests of that sort in 40 years is because the government's cracked down on civil disobedience with such massive fines. But basically, in Extinction Rebellion, we are saying, we have everything to lose. I'd rather get 1,600 euros in fines than see climate and ecological collapse. So, but it is very different from other countries, for example, our neighboring countries, Sweden and Denmark, where mostly the activists resorting to civil disobedience are carried away by the police and are rarely charged. And if they are charged, then they get a tenth of the fines that we get. So, the police's reaction in Norway is quite unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's really interesting to get a different perspective of how things are in Norway. So the next question is, for many people, Norway wouldn't seem like the most likely country to see its citizens protesting against climate hypocrisy, as it has, on the surface at least. A really great reputation for renewables and innovation. Why is this action coming up on the fourth necessary?
Yeah, so the image that Norway is climate friendly and a proponent of international climate agreements is a brand that the Norwegian government has been cultivating for at least a generation now, and quite successfully, I might add. But if you look beyond the surface and these rather peripheral initiatives to, for example, electrify cars and electrify oil platforms and acquire electricity to Norwegian households from renewable sources, then you start to pay attention to the fact that Norway's economy rests on massive exports of oil and gas. So with a population of 5 million people, which is, substantially less than the city of London, for example, Norway actually covers 2% of the global demand for oil and 3% of the global demand for gas. And, is the third biggest exporter of gas in the world after Russia and Qatar. So and obviously these emissions that are involved in the export of oil and gas are not calculated in Norway's emissions. But if we were to take responsibility for those emissions that we obviously are responsible for because we extracted them from the ground, then Norway is the 7th biggest exporter of CO2 to the atmosphere with a population of 5 million people, So that is an outrage because when you also take into account that Norway is one of the most privileged countries on earth. And then to portray itself as a proponent of international climate agreements, when in fact what the government is doing is sabotaging the climate, the Paris Climate Accord, is just an outrageous, intolerable lie. And that's why we need the global action against Norway on the 4th of March.
That's really interesting. Yeah, really shocking facts over there, Dag. My final question to you is, what is this action going to look like? And if people want to help out remotely, can they help out? Or if anyone else who is watching this live stream at the minute, how can people help out?
Yeah, so the action leading up to the 4th of March is comprised of multiple actions around the world, from rebels doing creative demonstrations outside Norwegian consulates and embassies. And there's going to be demonstrations in 25 cities around the world, where people are, among other things, going to give the Nobel Prize of Climate Hypocrisy to Norway, because, you know, it's rather ironic that Norway, which actually gave the Nobel Peace Prize to Martin Luther King in 1964, is now suppressing civil disobedience with immense fines. And so to the question, what people can do if they want to get involved, you know, you could do a demonstration outside the Norwegian embassy or consulate where you live in a COVID-friendly way. If you want to do online actions, there's also a possibility to do that. Just contact us on XRN solidarity at protonmail.com. I will explain the details of that. It's a small effort with a really large effect, because Norway is a small country and it's completely dependent on a good international reputation. So this is the vulnerability that probably the most hypocritical country of all the climate accord signatories have.
Mm-hmm. Okay, no, that's really interesting. Thank you for that information, Dag. So I guess the best place also to get information from is your Facebook page, Extinction Rebellion Norway. Am I right? Okay, so any of our listeners listening at the minute, if you want to give or follow Extinction Rebellion Norway a like to get some more information about this action, yeah, that would be great. And yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to say, Dag?
Yeah, no, rather just get in contact and then get on board on this global action.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dag, for joining us today. And I hope this action goes well, and I hope we raise a lot of awareness of this issue. Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the next topic of future actions, we've got the Rebellion of One that's coming up in March. Okay, I'm just going to go through what is the Rebellion of One with you. The Rebellion of One is a single person roadblock times 1,000. And it's going to take place at midday on 27th of March, where individuals from across the UK will sit down on the road alone in front of traffic, and they will wear a sandwich board with simple but emotive messages. They will remain sitting in the road until they choose to move or are moved. Let's have a look at the new Rebellion of One video now.
Our government is failing
to act now.
In the face of a climate and ecological emergency.
We can't stand by and do nothing.
This spring,
we will
take action
with hundreds of others
on the same day,
at the same time.
Alone.
Together.
Rebellion of One.
Cool. I hope you liked that video. So if you are wondering where to get more information about Rebellion of One, check out our campaigns page, which is on the Extinction Rebellion UK website. And it's being displayed on the screen at the minute, and if you click Rebellion of One, you can get some more information on how to sign up, what are the dates. We've also got training up there that's taking place at the minute, so you can get trained up before doing the action. And also there is a link to join a Telegram broadcast channel as well on there. So please do check that out, and yeah, to get more information. Okay, so finally, thank you very much for joining us on this weekly roundup. And please do join us for next week's Roundup on Sunday at 6 p.m. We are also going to do a global Roundup as well in about 2 weeks' time to get an update of what's happening globally within XR as well. So just as we end, we're going to have a look at the Heathrow 13 video from 5 years ago. So if you have time to stick around with us, please do. If you've enjoyed this, thank you very much, and we will see you next week. Stay tuned.
My name is John MacDonnell. I'm the Member of Parliament for Hayes and Harlington, which includes Heathrow. We've convened this press conference because tomorrow we're at Willesden Court, where the Heathrow 13 will be sentenced. We are fearful that the Heathrow 13 may well receive custodial sentences, which will be, to be frank, I think a disgrace.
I just wanted to put on record solidarity for the Heathrow 13. It's really important as parliamentarians, as ordinary citizens, as young people, and I have a group from a local school with me here today who are really inspired to hear this story and to hear how brave so many people have been in standing up for what they believe in.
During our trial, we argued that our actions were reasonable, proportionate and necessary in order to prevent death and serious injury by air pollution and climate change.
Nobody wants the expansion at Heathrow or any other airport, as far as I know. The Heathrow 13 decided that it was a moral imperative to take action. As described, they cut a hole in the perimeter fence, they chained themselves together on a runway, mounted a peaceful protest and immediately alerted the police.
I just want to say a very few words really in support of the Heathrow 13 and everything that they've tried to achieve. I am deeply worried about the criminalisation of peaceful protest. I think that what's happening here is a deliberate attempt to put people off taking action, put people off even taking part in demonstrations. And yet that is a really important tradition in this country, as an important part of our democracy. So I want to be here to uphold both the principle of peaceful direct action, but also the particular focus of the Heathrow 13, because if we're talking about real threats that we face today, then the threat of climate change has to be the greatest one that we face.
We support the call for 2016 to see a groundswell of escalation in the climate movement, with more bold, effective and disruptive action to transition from fossil fuel culture to a safe, clean energy. It's become necessary to break the law to prevent climate crimes.
And so I think that the action that the Heathrow 13 have taken is absolutely about upholding that bigger law which is around, ensuring that our children and children on the other side of the world have a future.
I know that we can't be certain of anything in this world, but what we can have is hope. And I think that's what the Heathrow 13 have offered to all of us.
So we're just down the road from the court. It's amazing turnout, amazing to feel the solidarity and support of everybody, that of so many people, people that you love and people that you don't even know. It's amazing.
On our way to the court, expecting an inevitable prison sentence, bags packed.
I think now the Heathrow 13 are going to make a statement from the steps.
Don't let them sell our children's future to the fossil fuel industry. Don't let them sell your future. Make yourselves heard.
we are proud of her.
I'm very proud of her, and she's a great fighter, and she's fighting for a very good cause. I fully support her in every sense of the word.
Don't know what today's judgment is going to be, but the law should protect them rather than punish them, because they are trying to protect the people, and the law is supposed to protect people as well. This is a fight for the right to life for millions and billions of our fellow citizens. What happens in these courts, what the decisions by our government will determine who lives and who dies around the world. And friends, we as Friends of the Earth stand in solidarity with the Heathrow 13, and we stand in solidarity with all those people around the world. Say no to climate injustice. Thank you.
Is the judge setting an example with steel bars and sealed doors? But if you lock up our heroes, we'll just love them all the more. It's not much of a deterrent when it spreads the story wide. 13 inspiring thousands, whether airside or inside. If climate action is a crime, you'll need to lock us up as well. And you can't fit a movement inside a prison cell. Thank you. Solidarity for 13.
The breaking news we're hearing from inside the court is that all 13 defendants have been sentenced to 6 weeks, suspended for 12 months, plus community service. So it means that today, if this is correct, nobody will be going to jail. We've waited all day for this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, the Heathrow 13 free!
Thank you everyone for sticking with us all day. It means a lot. Gratitude doesn't even come close to what we feel right now, and we could hear you in there. They wanted to send us to prison, but you changed their minds. This is a victory for democracy and for our right to peaceful protest. For millions of people, climate change is a death sentence. You can build new runways or you can stop climate chaos, but you can't do both.